I'm a 34-year-old woman, and I've been married to Eric for 3 years. He's 36, works in software, and has a calm way of carrying himself that makes people trust him instantly. I met him through work. He's not flashy or loud, just steady, respectful, and always thinking of others. That's probably what drew me to him in the first place. But for my family, those traits never seemed to matter. My family's definition of family is very specific: bloodlines, shared holidays, and names that go back 3 generations. It's about who sat at the kids' table in 1999, who helped clean up after Grandma's 60th, and who played shortstop in the backyard every July. If you weren't there for those things, you're not really in, and Eric wasn't. He didn't grow up with us. He didn't know the nicknames. He didn't get the inside jokes. So from day one, they treated him like he was temporary. At family dinners, they'd set out place cards like it was a wedding reception. Every name was written in perfect calligraphy, except his. Sometimes there was a blank card. Sometimes someone would scribble one with a ballpoint pen just before we sat down. At first, I thought it was a harmless oversight, but it kept happening. When we took group photos, someone would always hand Eric the camera. No one asked him to get in the shot. At my niece's birthday, my brother stood up to introduce all the spouses by name, except Eric. His name wasn't forgotten, it was skipped. There was a beat of silence, then he moved on to cake. Eric never made a scene. He'd quietly stand back, smile politely, and whisper that it was fine, that maybe he just needed to give it time, that they'd warm up eventually. For years, I believed him, but last Christmas made it impossible to ignore anymore. My father handed out engraved cufflinks to both my brothers-in-law during dinner. Everyone clapped, said how classy they looked. Then he turned to Eric and passed him a tie. It still had the clearance sticker on it from the department store. The price tag was hanging off the side. Nobody said a word. Later that night, my mother brought out a velvet box. Inside was the family heirloom bracelet, the one she had always said would go to the next daughter-in-law. She gave it to my sister-in-law, who'd already received one years ago when she married my brother. When I asked about it quietly in the kitchen, my mother said, "It felt right. She's part of the family." My father walked in mid-conversation. He added, "Eric hasn't earned his place yet. It takes more than time to be considered family." They weren't angry when they said it. Just matter of fact, like it was common sense. What they didn't know was that Eric had overheard everything. He'd gone to the hallway to grab our coats and caught the entire conversation from behind the wall. He didn't come back in. We left without dessert. The car ride home was quiet. He didn't speak. He just looked out the window like he was trying to memorize the night sky. When we got home, he went straight to bed. No argument, no breakdown. That made it worse. I stayed up. I walked around the apartment picking up wrapping paper scraps, half-used ribbon, things we had planned for weeks to bring to that dinner. I looked at our wedding photo on the bookshelf, the one where my dad was standing stiff and awkward in the back row, barely smiling. I remembered how that photo almost didn't happen because my mother kept asking if we wanted a separate one, just the real family. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, I opened my laptop and started typing. I titled the private document, "Show them." Not in anger, not for revenge, but to make it clear to myself that I wasn't going to shrink back into their small definitions anymore. I wasn't going to wait for a seat to be offered. I was going to build the table, one where Eric belonged before the meal even started. That document became my map, not of how to get back into their circle, but how to build our own, one that wouldn't require permission slips or blood tests to enter. I didn't know what all the steps would be yet, but I knew one thing for certain: I wasn't going to explain my husband to anyone ever again. And whatever came next, they weren't going to see it coming. A few weeks after Christmas, my cousin Melanie got engaged.